Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a quick tip how to know when to get out of dodge. Sometimes it's pretty obvious. I'll give you a fairly obvious example right here. But when you go to a forward position, when you go to that critical terrain and start playing the game, make sure you're keeping an eye on what is happening to your team and how the flow is going and what's happening on the map. We're on El Haluf right here. I went to the heavy brawling area with my KV-122. I've done 1,600 damage, but as you can see, we've lost a bunch of tanks right here. The Barask, which is our best tank, isn't even here. I wouldn't necessarily expect him to be in the heavy brawling area. He's kind of hanging out in the corner down there. We've lost the Comet, which is another tier 7. We have an ISU, which is, I think he's up here with, there he is. He's up here with us, who's done a couple hits, which is nice. But our setup for this was not great. They had an UDES 14.5. They had an SMBCC 67 as well for their 2 tier 8s right there. And that's very painful because we had a Barask and an ISU. At least the ISU came up and brought his gun to the important spot and didn't camp. Unfortunately, a lot of our smaller tanks died in the face of the enemy right there. And I have looked at this and went, this is not good. There's an AT-8, a 3002, the ISU, and myself. And we have some pretty good hit points over here. Look at how many purples are stacked up against our 4 tanks. About 8. Okay, there's about 8 tanks, and we've done some damage, but we're down a lot of hit points, and we're down a lot of tanks, 2 to 5. So that's a great example right here. Now, remember, when you're making these decisions or when you go to these positions, have your planned route of running away planned out, all right? So know where you're going. Just really quickly, I'm going to come off of this hill. If I stay there, I'm going to basically stay in place and die. So we're going to run off this way. I will farm some more damage later as I bail off of this hill. We'll come around this corner. The reason I don't go low right there is if there's something trolling in the middle, I might get shot from above up on the ridge, and now we're just going to run out of here. Really, to be honest, if the 3002 had started moving when I did, he'd probably live through this, and we'd have another tank. But just looking at him coming at us, there's no way I survived that push. Good on the ISU for thumping him. The Basota's trying to chip in. The IKV Skunk Girl is running away to get onto the bush back there, and the 2 Arties, and the ISU probably lasts a lot longer than he really should have right there. I'll come back here, I'll farm a little more. I end up losing at that point, but we do get a little bit more damage, and we end up to fight at least a little longer on this battle. I had a bunch of bounces. The gun is not particularly effective against some of the armor that's coming at me right there, and I get a couple bad rolls, whatnot, yada yada. So at least I've given myself a chance potentially to whittle them down to where maybe we can get a win out of it. Perhaps the Barask comes back, or maybe even I last long enough, hold them off long enough between me and the TDs and the Artie that maybe the Barask and the Sioux can cap. All right, so those are all things that are possible as long as you're still alive. So I was up there as much as I could, fought as well as I could. When things looked like they had gone south past the situation that I could affect, I got out of there. And I had to get out of there soon enough that I wasn't getting shot in the back as I bailed out. This is not easy. Sometimes you go too early, sometimes you go too late, but I just wanted to show you an example of what that kind of looks like. And I was probably about that close to being a little late on this particular map. Let me know what you guys think down below. What do you do in situations like that? That's all I've got for today. We will see you.